What's going on, everybody? It's LtBuzzLitebeer, and if you've been following the channel, you know I have been closely watching and reporting on a new Division-ish PvEvP survival game named The Day Before. And just recently, the studio granted a series of interviews and outlined a few bits of interesting information. But before we begin today's video, if you haven't yet smashed that sub button, please do so. And don't forget to ring the bell to never miss a future upload notification from my channel. Okay, let's dive right in. As usual, I will leave links in the video description and the pinned comments to not only this Gaming Bolt article, but also to the main Day Before site, just in case you want to do some reading on your own. Okay, let's jump into this interview and see what information the studio has laid out for us. So the first question in this article reads like this. The Day Before clearly has a strong PvE component, given its setting, but what can players expect from the game in terms of PvP? Their answer. In The Day Before, we created the real world of the post-apocalypse, which means players have absolute freedom. Complete tasks with other players or alone. You can meet anyone and whenever you want. Act as you want, cooperate with people, or rob them. It's your choice, and of course, you can loot the defeated players. So what this sounds like is the Division Survival PvP game mode with actual tasks to complete, either in a group or solo. I mean, you've got a squad element here, or there also seems like solo players will also have the ability to go lone wolfing it as well. There is this whole lawless feel and vibe to the entire game, so at any time and anywhere, you can either be the aggressor or the target. And of course, we already know there are zombies thrown in for good measure, so I foresee some really wild combat here, where you've got squad versus squad action, some armored vehicles thrown in, and then a horde of zombies shows up as well, and of course, all hell breaks loose. Now, what is not mentioned here, or I haven't seen it mentioned anywhere, is if there will be squad and solo specific servers. So I guess we will just have to wait and see if they answer that question in the future. Next question. It seems like restoring and expanding a colony of survivors is a crucial element for the game. How will this tie into the meta progression and the story? Their answer. The possibility to gather with friends, meet and make new friends in a safe place will create many personal stories for those who play The Day Before. In Woodbury Survivor Colony, you can not only communicate with other players, but also talk to the inhabitants of the colony, take tasks from them, and reveal more details about the world. Also, we're testing a system of reputation within the colony, so your activity will affect your progression in the story. More information will be revealed in the future videos and posts in our social media. Now, this all sounds kind of standard for games that incorporate a world-building element, but what interests me most here is this reputation mechanic, because these are tricky to get right, but can really spice things up in the gaming environment. Are you known as a trustworthy player? Or maybe you are a full-blown thief? The game could keep track of all that and could really affect how you were able to interact within the colony or even with other players out in the open wild. This next question I found kind of interesting, and it goes something like this. What can you tell us about the loot game in The Day Before, and how will it tie into progression? Their answer. In The Day Before, there are no colored items of different value. Everything is real. Weapons act as in real life. A light bulletproof vest will only save you from a pistol. Boots will not give you protection from shots. It is important for us to give the player maximum immersion in the world of post-apocalypse. Now, if this is truly in the game and functions properly, it could add a layer to loadouts that is not often found in shooter games. Bulletproof gear that has something of an NIJ level rating is a wild concept, and I could see our characters needing to constantly look for better and higher rated armor. It is also mentioned that there are no colored items or rarity tied to weapons and gear, so it all works just as it would in real life, and I really love this concept. It will just come down to the gear you find in loot and your wits versus getting beat by players with higher tier weaponry and gear. Let's keep going through this article. It seems like vehicles and vehicular exploration are going to be an important part of the experience. Can you tell us more about this? Will building, repairing, and maintaining vehicles be an important mechanic in the game? Their answer. Travel off-road, Ned the mud, but be careful. If you get stuck, you will become easy prey. The car can either save your life or become a trap. You need to keep an eye on the fuel, otherwise you can stall at the most inconvenient moment. We have carefully approached the details of the game. For example, in order to fill up with fuel, you need to pick up a canister and really pour it into the tank of the car. The same way the car is repaired, you have to go out and fix it. The game will include not only ordinary cars, but also armored vehicles. Just imagine we are walking together along the lifeless streets of the city, and skyscrapers once filled with people hang over us. We have the best assault rifles, and then we suddenly see a running armored vehicle ahead of us that notices us. To deal with such an enemy, you need a completely different approach. Now, as a former competitive Battlefield geek, I can tell you that having armor on your side is a game changer, but you also need the boots on the ground to capture those points and to do the dirty work of clearing out the smaller structures that a vehicle can't reach. Having this melting pot of small arms combat, zombies, and then the possibility of armored vehicles thrown into the mix has my interest piqued, making this game sound better and better by the minute. The interview continues on with another 5 topics all surrounding gameplay and in-game content, and I'm not going to read each one of these for you individually as they're all kind of interrelated, so I'm just going to grab the main points here and compress it all down for you. Fntastic is attempting to vary the open world encounters, so you will run into zombies, real players, and human NPCs, all with their own mechanics and tendencies. Zombie variants do exist in the game, and they react to sound, so if your character is carrying more gear, the more chances you have to make louder sounds, which will of course attract the zombies' attention. There are dungeon-like areas, in particular one they have shown in this trailer with the flashing lights in the corridor, taken from a PvE area named Acer Initiatives Corporation, which is a large lab complex. So there seems to be areas that are limited to strictly PvE, which could be good news for anyone out there that is interested in the game but kind of put off by the idea of too much PvP. The studio goes on to talk about the vastness of the open world that includes varied biomes, and as they say, all without any loading screens, which sounds incredible. They also mention the fact that there is no one set main story, but a world with many stories, so we will need to see where this takes us. And to end this section of the interview, the studio also kind of geeks out on the potential to get crazy with what they can install into the game, kind of thumbing their noses up at reality and just going crazy with full holiday event concerts, new weapons, and even racing cars. Now, I purposely kind of skipped through that middle section of the interview to get to this last little bit here, which is not very long, but they do give us some real details. Question: do you have any plans for a pre-launch beta or demo for the day before? Their answer: we will have a pre-launch beta, but only for thousands of lucky ones. It's great that our publisher has so many employees. Now, I don't know if there is something that was maybe lost in translation here, but it sounds to me that there is going to be a closed pre-launch beta, but to only employees of the company. Maybe I'm wrong, but if this is how it's going to go down, this is, in my opinion, the wrong way to go. They're going to want outside opinions from non-employee players, or risk bringing a game out that is built within a very narrow context and could potentially flop. Who knows, maybe the article is not written correctly. I guess we're just going to have to wait and see. The final 2 questions have to do with the quality of the footage and the possibilities to see the day before on console. First question, let's talk about the footage that was revealed. Was it a part of the actual game, and will the final game look like that? Their answer: we intend to take the survival MMO genre to a whole new level. We are constantly improving the game, including graphics and animations. Every week our team makes new breakthroughs in order to give players the highest quality game. So the final game will be much better. And here's the second question. Do you have any plans to bring the game to PS5 and Xbox Series X and S? The studio's answer: we will not be able to port the game to your NES, but we are considering the next-gen consoles. Wait for a special announcement. Okay, so the studio is telling us that the footage seen in the trailers is actually of lesser quality than what we will see in the final game, which is an encouraging statement, but I have seen and heard this kind of statement many times in the past, and will wait to pass judgment on this game until I finally see it played live. Also, I have not seen or heard mention of what game engine the day before is built on. Now, I am thinking they purchased a pre-built asset to build this game around, but it would be good to know. Now, what I found truly interesting is this comment that they are considering a next-gen console port for the game, and in my opinion, that is a smart and business-savvy decision. Consoles are the largest cross-section of gamers in the world, and just limiting the day before to be PC-specific was only going to hurt their sales. Now, it is a bit of a letdown that they can't port the game for non-next-gen consoles, but perhaps the game is too resource-heavy to perform correctly. And at this point, I don't think any studio out there wants to go full CD Projekt Red and release a game on consoles that cannot function properly, or even at all, and will end up destroying this fledgling studio's reputation. Let's go ahead and end this one right here, and I really look forward to reading your comments and feedback concerning the day before. In case you haven't yet done so, please smash that sub button and ring the bell to receive all future upload notifications from my channel. If you could take the time to rate and or share the video, it would be greatly appreciated. Don't forget to follow me on Twitch for weekly streams, join my newly formed community Discord server, and of course, find me over on Twitter for all my latest thoughts on most things gaming related. Until the next one, this is LtBuzzLitebeer, signing off.